Welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat Vodcast, featuring candid interviews with practitioners, consultants, and solution providers on hot topics in the information governance industry. Here's your host, Jim Merrifield.
Well, hello and welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat. I'm your host, Jim Merrifield, and with me today is Kathryn Rattigan, partner at Robinson & Cole. Welcome, Kathryn.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you as a guest on the hot seat. And to start us off, would you please tell us about your current role, how long you've been with the firm, and one fun fact about yourself? Don't forget the fun fact because I will call you out.
Okay. So I'm a partner at Robinson & Cole in the data privacy and cybersecurity practice group. I've been at RNC for a little over 8 years and practicing in this space for about 10 years. Let's see, my fun fact. I told you I thought of a couple of some more weird facts. I'll give you my 2 weird facts is that I can do a handstand on a paddleboard because I do a lot of stand-up paddleboard yoga. And I'm really, really good at hula hoop, which now I think I'm doomed. You're going to bring a hula hoop to the next firm event and make me do it. But those are my 2 fun facts. And my miserable fact is that I'm currently doing a juice cleanse and I'm a little bit hangry during this conversation, but
Yeah, that's awesome. I only asked for 1. You gave me 3, so I got bonus. So that's awesome. I won't hold that against you. But so let's talk a little bit about your practice group. What's the makeup of your group? Focus on governance, privacy, and security.
So we really advise clients across all industries on data privacy, security, and then compliance with state and federal law. Just because I always say, if you have data, meaning even one employee, then we can likely assist because now there's a regulation for really every single type of data, and whether it's the US or EU, we can kind of advise on that. We do a lot of technology and software contracts, so compliance with issues with outsourcing or vendor management. Also, like you sort of said, the governance programs. I think I'm seeing a lot more questions about data retention programs. How long to keep emails, questions like we've had paper for 30 years. What do we do with this? How do we figure out what we have? And I think that a lot of companies are looking at that now because of privacy and security laws. The more data you have, there's a higher risk. If you don't need it, get rid of it. And those are the conversations that we're having more and more. So that there's a little bit of the governance side mixed in with the privacy and security.
Yeah, you're speaking my language there. So that's awesome. So let's talk little bit about how things have changed. How has your practice group or even just the data privacy industry changed in the last few years?
Yeah, I think that the data privacy and security practice is driven by technology. And so we know that technology is moving, as fast as the speed of light here. And we're way behind with the law in a lot of respects. So my example I give, and when I'm talking to new attorneys or a group of people who don't know any, law students, they want to know about the practice. I always give the example. It makes me sound old, but I'm not that old. When I first started, there were these new things called mobile apps. And so it was, can you create a privacy policy for that? And just that kind of new interface for a consumer. So because of that new technology, that new app, you had to, okay, how do we adapt privacy to that? And then the same happens kind of with drones, right? And DNA testing, AI now that's the new kind of frontier. And so you have to, in this space, you're sort of following what technology is doing. And unfortunately, technology is way ahead of what we've thought about in the law. And so I kind of drones is a great example where I could go get a passenger drone right now, technology wise. I could go have them fly me to, from where I'm sitting to Boston, and there'd be nobody in the vehicle except me, and then it's driving me. Can we actually do that with infrastructure? No, but it's all there. So it's kind of a fun space because the changes we have to change with technology. And so I can't even guess sometimes what's going to be next. So we'll see. But
yeah, that's spot on. It's exciting. The different drones. And I know when I first I think when you first joined the firm, you started writing a bunch of blog posts on drones and different speaking engagements. So it's definitely fascinating, that there's actually privacy laws on drones and how it's, springboarded into AI. So it's a cool time, right, in the privacy and security field for sure. So what issues are your clients facing regarding data privacy and information governance and security? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, and I sort of alluded to this, but the retention and deletion of data, right? Trying to figure out, there's so much data. Even with trying to get rid of paper, which I know that's your your goal is to get rid of all paper, and I'm totally with you. I think that the pandemic helped with that, and that's part of a lot of companies are now coming to us like, well, we don't use any paper anymore, and we don't even know what we have, but we don't really have a great tracking system for where our data is, electronically. Like they really have no idea. There's so many different vendors that have it, and they're trying to figure out, do we need it? Different departments collecting different data. So I think on sort of the governance side, just do we need to retain this? Can we delete it? Making sure the issue of litigation holds come up, and companies are always afraid, oh, we don't want to delete this and then make it seem like, we were doing it on purpose to get rid of. But so there's a lot of those conversations about identifying high risk data, identifying the data they need for the business, and then what they can kind of get rid of. And then you kind of add that security piece on top of it once you map the data. So we do a lot of that. On the privacy side, I think the biggest thing we're seeing is the consumer privacy laws that are coming out. California is the most widespread just because it's based on your gross revenue. It's not on, you could have one California customer or one California employee, and you have to do all of these things to comply. Obviously, there's varying levels of your compliance if you really only have one consumer, but the other states that are kind of tagging along are based on, do I have 100,000 residents in this particular state, which that doesn't fit as many of our clients, at least. That's focused more on companies like the big companies, the ones that I won't name, but all of all of them that we're all thinking of when I say that. But I just think right now there's a handful of consumer privacy laws. There's just going to be more and more. And, we were talking about this, you and I, and that relates, the information governance side relates to compliance with those laws, which is why we're getting those questions, in conjunction. Like part of our consumer compliance program for clients is, what's your data retention policy? And sometimes they say, I don't know, you tell me. And so it becomes part of the conversation with privacy and security too.
Yeah, for sure. That's all good stuff there. So let's talk about the future a little bit. Where do you see the future of data privacy security in the next 3 years? I know it's a loaded question. I know things have changed over the last 3 years, so I'm asking you to think about the next 3.
Yeah. I wish I knew, because then I would be very rich, because not even in my in what I do. I'm saying if I knew what the technology was, I mean, that would be great, right? So I think, the AI is probably the biggest. We're seeing a ton about that in the news right now because the regulations they're being written right now. Like a couple of, New York has a law that they're trying to enforce that's really specific on using AI in employment, scenarios. But I think AI in information governance, making things quicker, more streamlined. You see that a little bit. There's certainly vendors that I worked with for clients that I sort of say, why don't you have them scan all of these paper documents into an electronic file, and let's figure out what you actually have. So that technology is all already there, but sort of using it more will definitely be part of the next few years. I think that a lot of cyber insurance is something that, again, everybody talks about, but I think that the insurers are going to be able to dictate a little bit more of what you need to actually have in place for security measures in order to get that insurance. Before it was like handing it out. Here you go. You can have this happen. You want 10 million in insurance. Here you go. Now it's, companies that don't have basic security measures like MFA, you're not getting insurance. Like there's just no chance of it. And that's going to kind of be more prevalent over the next few years. I don't know. I think the consumer, this is just based off of what's going on now, I guess, but the consumer transparency piece, every client I talk to lately, when they're like, well, I don't understand why I have to, employee data. Why do I have to give an employee the right to delete or access and this and that? I already kind of do, that's part of our HR and there's laws. And I'm like, well, the US is trying to go more towards what the EU is. And in the EU, everything is considered personal data, and it's just all about transparency, and you just need to lay it out there. And I think that, along with the use of tracking technologies on websites, that's part of there's no transparency there. So we'll see more consumer rights. We'll see, there's just going to be more regulation in that space, because the idea is that we should own some of that data. There's so much. Someone's shopping history of what it then tells you about, it's amazing. I mean, this amount of data that's out there, right? Or what your browsing history, all that stuff is so valuable. You don't realize that just you're clicking around. That's what companies are selling to each other. And I think that will maybe be even monetized for us. Like, right, if you're going to take it from me, I get something back, or there's going to be more of that, because they're trying to give more consumers more control over their data, which I think is a good thing. I don't know if people even want it right now, because we don't have that mentality in the US. But that's, the goal. Maybe younger generations, I don't know, although that might be worse, because they really don't care what's going on the internet about them. But, that'll be, that's something I think we'll see too.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's all about extracting value, right, from the data that we own. Even like for us as a law firm, we have a lot of data about our clients.
Yeah.
If we can extract value from it and actually support our clients in a more efficient way, right, that's a leg up for us as firms and companies. So,
We use
I-
that. I'll use it. Can I use it as my cheap
sure.
plug at my blog? Because that's because
Yeah.
we use I think the JD Supra platform for our data privacy and cybersecurity insider blog. In At the first, I'd say we've been doing this for 8 years, but at first it was like, okay, just put the content out there and clients like it with, it's like client alerts. But then we were like, well, there's actually data here. What topics are our current clients clicking on? What are people aren't, they're not our clients. What are they clicking on? Seeing what the interest is and where people are going. Like, all of that data was really valuable to us. And, all of those metrics and analytics are there. Some of it, depending on if the user is registered or not, you can get more. But that's the idea sort of behind it, as just an individual consumer too. If I know everything about what you've been clicking on online, now I can target you and say, buy this thing, which you ask people in the US about it and they're like, that's great. If you have a product that you think I'll like, I want you to target it. But there's this kind of big brother weird, it just reminds me of the Matrix, when you like look into the eyes of the advertisement and it changes. There's that idea with what we're trying to avoid, I think. But so check out our blog for more on that. But that's we write on it every week, so there's certainly topics on information governance and AI, drones. But
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How often is there a new post on the blog? I know it comes out very often, so it's like pretty much weekly, right?
yeah, it's weekly. It's usually today. I don't know if one's coming out today. I have to say we've been a little bit crazy when some of people on our team are traveling. So we might not be till next week, but there's so much content on there, because there's just, like you said, there's so much going on in the space that something's new every day in data privacy and security. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm new to the space, how do I follow the blog? I'm going to play dumb for a minute. How do I follow
Yeah.
the data privacy and security blog?
Yeah, go on. If I could send, I should have had like a sign or something to hold up. You can go on, if you go on Robinson and Cole's website, we have a blog dropped. We have a few blogs at the firm, different ones, but the data privacy one is right there listed under our firm blogs, and you just subscribe like a newsletter. You give an email address, and then you will not be spammed. You're not going to get a million emails. You get the one on Thursday, which gives all. But you can visit the blog whenever you want to see what else is there and do some searches on different topics. But you'll actually get a newsletter every Thursday. So.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So let me ask you a bonus question.
Okay.
I know you're speaking at some conferences. I know you're attending some conferences in the coming months. Which conferences in particular are you maybe going to be at, or looking forward to, or even speaking at?
So I'm a member of IAPP. That's in end of September, beginning of maybe October. There's a conference. They're big. They're PSR, privacy, security, risk. I'll be at that. I was, that's a great one. I think for the IAPP has one that they just did, which is more, I think I would say broader topics in privacy. And then when the one that they do in the fall is a little smaller and more focused on a little bit more technical side of things. But I think either one is great because they kind of, what we've talked about, they go from like privacy, security, and information governance kind of all wrapped in one. That's my, and then I know there's the ARMA one I wanted to attend the that I can't because I am going to be buying a house that day. But I also, again, like those are great to attend. Especially again, like they kind of all connect. Like there's really no, information governance, privacy, and security all kind of go hand in hand. So I like to attend those as well. And then just more one-off, but the IAPP is really the big ones for me. So.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Thanks for sharing that. So go find Kathryn at IAPP. I think it's in San Diego this year. So
yes.
Look her up. I'm sure she'll be there, and looking forward to meeting you in person. So look, I know you're a busy person, Kathryn. Thanks so much for joining me today on the show, and being such a good sport, being on the hot seat. And thank you everyone for attending today's episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Please visit our website, infogovhotseat.com, to view our latest episodes. And if you'd like to be a guest on the hot seat like Kathryn here, please submit your information through the website. And thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and LinkedIn. Check out our main website at infogovhotseat.com to view our latest episodes and much more.